Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Neftes20 who says, my dad, 60 male, is adding something to my food that makes me, 25 male, sick. I, 25 male, was suffering from bloating and vomiting from December 2024. After 4 months of consulting 5 different physicians, including gastro, 3 endoscopies, and multiple tests, they arrived at a diagnosis of Crohn's, with stricture at the junction of duodenum and jejunum. After the diagnosis, I found that I had become intolerant to rice and potatoes. My mum and grandmum understood the disease after I explained it to them. But my dad's opinion was that this was not a disease and it's all because you ate a lot of lemons 3 years ago. After completing the meds and avoiding the specific trigger foods, rice, potatoes, I went into remission. Around 2 weeks back, I had a flare-up which kept on increasing in severity every day. Me and my mum saw my dad was adding something like powder to the milk before I drank it. There was no taste or odor change in the milk though. We had suspicions that he was also adding something to the salt and sugar in the kitchen. So I stayed in my granny's place for a few days. During this stay I had no symptoms, not even pain or bloating. Meanwhile my mum threw away everything that was suspicious and bought everything new. I returned back to my home. We were being very careful in locking everything in the kitchen and ensuring only we have access to them. After doing all this I feel better, and we have seen my dad trying to pry open things we locked. There are 2 other things that bothered me during this time which may or may not be related. One, just 2 days before my flare-up, I informed that I got selected for Masters in Europe, and my dad and elder brother hated that and were against it. When I said I will be going there, he replied, something unexpected may happen and your plan may fail. 2. Before this recent flare-up, there was an incident when, like this time, my dad was doing something in the kitchen. My dad never uses the kitchen. I took a sip of the milk later and there was a strong taste of rust, so I threw it out entirely and I didn't think much of it. I asked about the issue in r/Crohn's disease around 10 days prior and intended to publish this story here too, but couldn't. Here are the events that happened after that. 1. I forgot to lock a jar of cookies inside the cabinet, ate them the next day and got sick again. 2. My mum's coffee has tasted weird multiple times and she also got sick after drinking it too. 3. My dad broke into the locked kitchen cabinet and the refrigerator. 4. We replaced all the things there and shifted them away to my granny's home. 5. Me and my mum are traveling to my granny's home for every meal. 6. We also have suspicions that my brother also knows about this and chose to ignore as he visited home and avoids eating anything at home. We are taking careful steps to confirm these. I don't want to get into too much detail, but we're trying to get solid evidence before doing anything further. Let me know if I'm overthinking or what steps I should take next. I feel very unsafe and emotionally drained, but I just want to make sure I'm not losing perspective. Note, I originally posted this initially in r/relationship advice, but it was removed. I'm sharing it here, but I still need support, as this has been a very real and painful experience. From here, OP moved over to the Am I the Arsehole subreddit asking the question, am I the arsehole for refusing to give my dad and brother updates about my masters? And says, I, 25 male, got into this dream masters by my own effort on April, despite my health issues. The tuition for this program is actually very minimal, which is rare for an international masters program. I told everyone close to me, starting with my parents, elder brother, friends, close relatives, aunt and uncle, and some professors from my bachelor's. My dad, 60 male, was initially open to me going there, but changed his decision soon after talking to my brother. He told he likely won't be able to sponsor my masters, so I applied to a scholarship and was following up on it. I also applied for an education loan. My elder brother, 30 male, was totally against it, saying he didn't like it, and even said, are you going to beg in that country after doing this degree? My mum and relatives on her side, granny, aunt, uncle, were totally overjoyed and loved that I was able to get into this masters. My professors and other professionals in my field told it was a great opportunity and that it would benefit my career. I was working through all the administrative process and stuff by myself till today. My mom and relatives provided moral support during this time period and also tried to explain to my dad and brother that this is a good opportunity for me. Yesterday, my brother showed up unannounced to our home and made my mum stay in my granny's home, stating that he and my dad wanted to talk to me alone. They told me that I was in the wrong to inform my close relatives about this masters and demanded me to update on the process till now. I told them everything, including the education loan and scholarship I've applied. They started nitpicking the course details, trying to find any fault in the program, but everything was well detailed and had no issue. Then they told me that whatever I did was useless and I did nothing in these 2 months. They told me I won't be getting the scholarships or the loan realistically, nor do they have any money to spare for my studies. They made it clear that they won't help in any process further, but still want updates daily and need all the emails I received related to loans, scholarships, university forwarded to both of them. They instead want me to do a master's in this state next cycle/year. They told me to stop living in a dream and accused me of being selfish for not thinking of the family or anyone else. So am I the arsehole for not giving updates or not letting them interfere in the process after this incident? For context, I was lucky to have completed my bachelor's with almost full scholarship with a few minor expenses covered by my dad. I'd moved back to my parents' place and the money I saved up after that was spent very recently on my medical expenses. I made it very clear that I wanted to do my master's in this field. The master's program I got into is not available anywhere nearby, not even nearby states. Side note, there's also a separate and very serious situation happening at home that made me feel unsafe. I made a separate post about that, so I won't go into detail here, which I guess was referring to the poisoning incidents. That whole family needs to be away from him ASAP. The fact that they're having to lock stuff in their kitchen like he's some kind of toddler and not a 60-year-old man is wild. He's poisoning his kid, and mum is in this situation as well. And just casting back to the first part of the story, the whole poisoning stuff, probably thinking about irrelevant parts here, but it's like dad must know that they know and he's just continuing anyway because they're locking cabinets. Dad sees them locking cabinets and surely he must be going, oh, they know what I'm up to. But he's breaking into the locked cabinets and doesn't seem to care that they know. Almost just like, yeah, I'm poisoning you and what the fuck you gonna do about it? And at what point do you just say, fuck me, we need to get the police involved here? And I was going to read some comments from the Am I the Arsehole section, but you know, there's the poisoning stuff as well. So some of the comments have not realized that part of it, or that's going on. So we're going to go straight to OP's update, which was titled, My Dad is adding something to my food that makes me sick and now wants me to forgive him. It says, hi everyone, I'm sorry it took me a while to update. These are my previous posts for context, and then adds post 1 and 2 and says, I've been reading and replying to some comments, and I wanted to share what's happened since my last posts. What's happened since? My relatives say I should meet him to secure my inheritance, legally mine, because it could help me in the future. My brother is pestering my mum to get me to talk to him. My mum and I relocated without telling my dad or brother. I cut off all calls and messages from them. We couldn't gather much evidence except for a white powder in our plates, a microphone hidden under my mum's bedroom dresser. On the day we moved, I drank water from our house. 2 days later, had bleeding from my nose and mouth. Blood tests showed that both my mum and I had elevated, almost identical levels of, I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation on these ones, strontium and vanadium. Our family doctor said the bleeding wasn't from those metals, but likely from an anticoagulant toxin, possibly a rat poison. I moved between friends' places to recover and took the antidote for the anticoagulant poison. Since I moved, my scholarship and education loan were both cancelled, and I'm almost certain through his influence. My mum gave me her savings, which will nearly cover my degree. My dad has been telling relatives he's sad I'm not talking to him. My aunt and uncle, mum's side, who know the truth, confronted him. He admitted the poisoning but claimed it wasn't meant for me. They also asked why he wasn't financing my master's. He said he felt guilty and would fund it if I talked to him. My dad is calling and texting me now. Want to see you or talk finally last? Does it mean last time? To understand my position. If not, you cannot see any more later. I will never forgive my dad, but the inheritance is significant and could make a huge difference in my life. I've spoken to lawyers and the police. My dad has ways of wriggling out of legal trouble. Do I just talk to him, get my part of the inheritance and then cut contact? Or is even that too dangerous to risk? Someone said to call the university about the scholarship. Opie says the scholarship is not on the uni side, but is by a government-funded agency. He gave me a reason that they made a mistake and just told me, why didn't you wait for a year and try again? The words used by the person in charge was definitely fishy. Now, as always, these are in text format. We're only seeing part of the story, but I'm genuinely worried about OP being maybe a bit too blasé about nearly being murdered. You're bleeding from your nose and mouth from a rat poison, tested positive for multiple heavy metals, and found a hidden microphone in your mum's room. And there's the possibility of considering meeting up with this guy. No, you do not meet up with this guy. The police need to be involved immediately. Anyone suggesting meeting up with him to secure your inheritance are literally giving you advice that could get you ended. There is no amount of money worth sitting across from someone who's been poisoning you for months. Damn, man, what the hell? What's going on? What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. I really wasn't expecting to go that way. It's one of those ones that I wasn't expecting it to go like that from the title. I thought it was going to be, parents testing allergies, that kind of stuff that we always see. Fucking rat poison. Shoo. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Well, let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from our very own subreddit r/Mark Narrations. This one's from I by Audi, who says, am I the arsehole for getting an expensive car, even though I knew my long-term girlfriend would be upset about it? I'm 27, and my girlfriend Georgia is 25. She works as a pharmacy associate. We've been together for 2.5 years, and I do see a future with her. I work in healthcare and have been scrimping and saving through most of my 20s. I didn't have much of a college experience, and I've just stacked money for my future. Recently, I got fed up with my Hyundai and decided that it's finally time to trade it in for something nice and comfortable for myself. I told my girlfriend about my plan, and she asked me what cars I was looking at, and she vehemently disagreed. I found it surprising, but I said that I wanted to get the car anyway. This was a point of contention for a while, so I found myself holding off on biting the bullet on purchasing a car. This has been the first real fight in our relationship. I'd bring it up, and she would either shut it down or would give me some reason I don't find particularly convincing. It's too expensive. Well, I can afford it, I have a lot of money saved. Eventually, I was getting frustrated, and I vented with my friend, and he said, she's joining onto your life. She can either hop on or not. You don't need her permission. I figured that was a valid point. I told Georgia I was getting a car. She said, do what you want, and that was that. I got a 2022 Audi A6 45 Premium Plus a couple of days ago. I test drove it and it rode so smooth. It had black leather seats, white interior, low miles, clean Carfax, and 20-inch V rims. I was so happy. I got it for $39,000 out the door, plus $15,000 down, traded in my Hyundai, and financed the rest through my credit union. I drove home grinning ear to ear. I called my girlfriend later that day and invited her to my apartment. I cooked her salmon and mashed potatoes and cracked open a store-bought cheesecake. Eventually, I took her outside and showed her the car. I figured once she saw how nice of a purchase I made, maybe she wouldn't be so mad. After all, could you be mad as a passenger princess in German luxury? It was a vain hope. She was upset. She said, you actually did it. I said, yeah, I said I was going to. We started bickering. She asked how much it cost. I told her. She said, that's more than I make in a year. I said, yeah, but I can afford it. We went back and forth, but the argument devolved. Eventually I said, if you can't be happy for me, you can just go ahead and go home. She started tearing up and apologized. I apologized for snapping. We spent a quiet night in after that. Today I spoke with my girlfriend, and she said she wanted an apology from me for disregarding her feelings regarding me purchasing an expensive vehicle. I told her no apology was coming for that. I was happy with my purchase. She can either get over it or not. But how she felt about it was not my problem to solve. She said that was really mean, and I said it was really mean she was trying to control my purchases as a grown man. Am I the arsehole? Now for me, I will absolutely initially say not the arsehole. It's your money. It's your choice. You're not married. You're 27 years old. Do what you do, I think, as long as you're being, financially smart about it, why not? And I found her communication in this pretty bad. I mean, stonewalling instead of actually explaining what her concerns are and then being passive aggressive with it. I mean, what's that going to solve in the end? And that's where I fell in the end. It was like, for both of you, where do you see it going in the end? Because at some point you're going to have to communicate about these things. If you stay together for the long term, I think that communication has obviously got to improve in ways that you can communicate to each other and open up about how you're actually feeling rather than just being passive aggressive and stonewalling, etc. But Devil Pup says not the arsehole. Evidently you all don't even live together. Not her call. No apology is necessary on your part. Just watch out if she continues to harp about it. Shut it down immediately. You might want to reconsider the relationship. You're young and saved for this beautiful car and had every right to purchase it. This is coming from a mum/grandma. Going says you told her you were getting it. No need to apologize. In these days, a $39K car is not exorbitant. You two have different relationships with money though, and this is something you'll need to work out. The Real says this is a good opportunity for you all to discuss financial attitudes and how you see your relationship. She may think you're in the marriage, house, start a family window, while you're thinking we're young and having fun. So at some point later, OP does come in with her update and says, well, I got to the root of the issue with my girlfriend after we spoke yesterday. First things first, to clear up a few commonly mentioned things in the comments. My girlfriend wasn't expecting a ring. She didn't want one while she was deciding whether to go to grad school or pharmacy school. I can afford the car. I work as a nurse making over $70K and have a lot of savings. I've worked as a nurse for 4 years. I lived with my parents for the 3 of those years and didn't spend much at all. The used Audi A6 I purchased is the biggest purchase I've ever made and wanted to finance half of it in case I want a mortgage in the future. Things have gotten better between the two of us since the exchange at the end of our last post. I did take her out to get some ice cream and also surprised her by taking her to get her nails done as well. She asked if I was trying to bribe her out of being mad and I said no, just trying to be kind, even though I had planned these weekend activities ahead of time and was still fairly mad at her. Normally after a date out, we'd wrap things up at my place, but I didn't have the bandwidth and wanted some space. I dropped her back off at her parents' house and asked if she could come by my place tomorrow so we could just quash this issue looming over our relationship. She said okay. I ran errands yesterday and prepared for my girlfriend to come by. Around 6 she came by after her shift. I sat her down at the table with a pizza and basically just asked that we keep it civil and try not to get emotional. I asked her why the car was too expensive. She said that it just was. It's excessive and wasteful. I said that I agree. That caught her off guard. I told her that I saved a lot of money and basically spent very little on myself. So just once I wanted to be excessive on myself. She asked if it's a one-off thing. I said probably. I intended to treat the car very well. I asked why her reaction was so strong to the car. This is where she kinda shut down a little. I prodded her a little. She said that she decided she wanted to go to pharmacy school. She was going to tell me soon, and while she was making the big adult decision in her eyes, here I was blowing a bunch of money on a luxury car. I congratulated her on making up her mind on her career. I didn't particularly agree with characterization, but I could see how she could see it that way. I asked which school she was applying to, and she mentioned a few public universities in our state. I asked how she was planning on paying, and she said she had no other options other than loans. She was also hoping I'd be willing to help out or chip in. I told her that I loved her, but that she took out her anxieties of being able to pay for her pharmacy degree on me instead of being happy for me. She apologized for that and said she didn't realize that getting a nice car meant a lot to me. She started crying and I held her for a bit. We spoke for a long time after that. In sum though, things are uncertain. I feel like I saw a really bad side of her before we took some really big steps together. A lack of communication and feeling of control over my purchase concerned me, and I don't think it'd be a good idea for me to marry her. I say marry her because there is no way I would support someone through a pharmacy degree without some sort of legal reassurance. Things left on a bittersweet note, but an I love you nonetheless. I dropped her off at her parents' house. Right now I'm 90% leaning towards ending this relationship because I just don't see us heading the same direction anymore. I probably won't update or respond to the comments for a while. I have 2 back-to-back shifts starting tomorrow, and I'm gonna hit the hay after this posts. Oof, so it sounded like she just wanted you to fund her schooling instead of buying that car. But what do you guys make of this one? Maybe you have a different opinion on the matter. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.